Hi students, it's time for art and I hope you're doing well. Depending on the art class, we may not have a lot of work to do today because we're working in the classroom, but it depends. Anyways, let me show you the Godzilla of the week. Now I'm running out of model kits that I've painted, so I'm kind of digging up some old toys. And so here's my Godzilla that I found. This is a weird form of King Ghidorah, and I think its name it's like Kaiser Ghidorah. And this Ghidorah was in the movie Godzilla Final Wars, which was a Japanese movie, and that came out in like 2004 or something like that. And this is a real interesting King Ghidorah. He's got like 4 legs. See, he's got like 4 legs. Right? I don't know. He's pretty cool. This is a pretty cool toy. He's soft. It's like a soft vinyl. Sometimes the vinyl is kind of harder. This is kind of soft. So you, right? But anyways, he's pretty cool. Here's his tag. Let's see here. But I was curious. I was just curious. I bought this. It didn't seem too long ago. Seemed like yesterday that I bought this. And I bought it in like 2004. I was like, wow, that's actually kind of a long time ago now. And I was just curious. I'm curious because sometimes they don't make a lot of these. They don't make a lot of these toys. And I wonder if it's like valuable. Like I wonder if people are selling it for a lot of money. Sure enough, I went to Amazon, and somebody is selling this thing for $350. That's a lot of money. Now, is it really worth $350? No. Just because somebody's selling this thing for like $350, it doesn't mean it's worth that much. It's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for it. So someone might pay like $100 for it. So yeah, it's probably worth like $100. That's pretty cool. Would I ever sell mine? Probably not, because unless I really needed the money. Well, it's kind of more important that I have it in my collection. I kind of enjoy it for what it is. But that was kind of interesting to see that someone's selling it for so much money. I kind of checked some of my other Godzillas, and yeah, they sell for a lot of money. Doesn't mean anyone's willing to pay that much money. To me, they're more personal. I would never pay that much for this Godzilla. I probably only paid like maybe $30 for him 15 years ago, and $30 seemed like a lot of money back then for a toy. Anyways, that's Godzilla. That's the Godzilla of the week. I'll show you an interesting old Godzilla next time. And let's get on to the art portion of our video. Hello, lower multi-age remote students. We're going to be working on a giant paper hamburger. And there's a lot of parts, but we're only going to do a little bit of it today. We're just going to do part of it. And we'll probably spend 3 weeks on this project. We might maybe only need 2 weeks, but we'll spend 3 because we'll add a little extra detail and it'll help us get caught up with the students at school, and I don't know, we'll see. But I'm planning on 3 weeks for this project. Now you received a big bag full of stuff, and my assistant, Mrs. Curry, she put it together for you. And what's funny is I only saw it briefly, but it looked like it had everything. If you're missing something, it's okay. Or maybe you can improvise at home. Maybe you have some, I think it's all in there though, so I don't think it'll be a problem. But if you're missing some tissue paper or something, just improvise at home. But you should have, today we're just going to focus on the bun. We have like 2 pieces here. One of them's bigger, so this is the bottom bun, right? And then this is the one on top. We'll have to cut them out, but we'll add some coloring to it first. And you'll have to use some crayons at home. So if you want to pause the video, you can go find some crayons. Hopefully you have crayons at home. But what we really need is brown, black, red, and white. We're going to use red and white for our tablecloth. If for some reason you don't have red or white, or like you have white and you want to use a different color, like maybe a blue, you can do that. That's up to you. So if these colors, red and white, aren't as essential as the black and brown. So hopefully, and if you have like a darker brown or a slightly lighter brown, like maybe you don't have this color brown, that's okay. Maybe you have like you don't have a black, but you have like a real dark brown and then a lighter brown, that's okay too. You know, we want to add some texture and some shading to our bun and to our other elements as well, like the pickle and stuff. But we'll do that next week. Now, you know what's funny? I hate to admit it. I didn't bring home the finished sample to show you, but Mrs. Lee, she put this together. She gave me an example of what this is going to... Sorry, it's a tiny picture, parents. But it's going to look like this. It's going to be like a giant... It's going to be huge. This is like a tiny little picture, but it's going to be a giant hamburger with pickles and cheese and tomatoes and all kinds of stuff, right? It's going to be really big. This is a tiny picture. Now, student, if you're like, well, I don't like tomatoes and pickles on my hamburger, does that mean I have to put it on my hamburger? Yes, you still do. Make your hamburger the way I like my hamburger. Make it as if you're making it for me, and I like everything. I like tomatoes, onions, the whole shebang. So we're going to make all of the elements, even if you don't like tomatoes, we're going to put them on our hamburger because it'll add a variety and it'll look really neat. Now, where did this project come from? There's an artist named Claes Oldenburg, and he's kind of a modern artist, and he did a lot of fun, really big food sculptures. Now, he did more than food sculptures, but he would do like a giant ice cream cone on top of a building. He did some big hamburgers, like they were probably about, I don't know, maybe about 6 feet in diameter. So they're pretty big. They're like as big as me. Maybe only about 4 feet tall, but that's still pretty big. And you would like walk around them like in a art, like in a museum, or like a gallery. You'd walk around them, and they're fun. It's like it's a simple project. You know, it's food and stuff, but they're a lot of fun. But anyways, his name was Claes Oldenburg, and so the official name of this project is Odenburger, but I'm just going to call it hamburger, just so that you know we're making a big hamburger. But it's inspired by Claes Odenburg, right? Okay. Anyways, so where do we begin? Well, the first thing we want to do is let's get our bun pieces, and let's get our brown crayon. I didn't send crayons home, so you have to find them at home. And let's add a little bit of shading to our hamburger bun. So what are we really going to do? Well, we're going to add some light shading. So what does that mean? It means we're not going to press down very hard. Let me show you what I mean. This is the left side. You can kind of see it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to very lightly, like I'm barely pressing down. You can see that it's just a little darker, but not too dark, right? So it's a little bit, I'm barely pressing down, so I'm barely pressing down. And I'm going to I kind of just go up here, so it's a little darker. And then we want to kind of go on the bottom too. So watch, I'm going to very lightly, I'm barely pressing down. I'm like barely holding this thing. If you do it too light, like if you're trying to add some color and it's too light, that's okay, because you can always go back over it. You can always make it darker. But it's hard if you make it too dark. If you make it too dark, then you can't make it light again. You can't really erase crayon. So let's see, here we go. So this is kind of, I was very light, and there you can kind of see it. It looks kind of like a shadow. Okay, now watch this. This is where it gets a little trickier though. Okay, this is tricky for a, kindergarten to 3rd grade, although a 3rd grader might be able to handle it. But try. If it doesn't work out perfectly, it's totally fine. So what we want to do is, we were light here, but we want to get a little darker on the edge. So watch what I'm going to do. You don't want to go all the way, but see how I'm going to make it just a little bit darker? It doesn't go up all the way, just a little darker, and I'm going to go right on the edge. And what that does is, it kind of creates a shadow. It looks like a shadow, but it looks kind of blended. How? How does it look blended? Well, it's darker here, and then it's not as dark right here. So there's like kind of like two different values. Values are how dark it is. So like this part is darker than this part. And it looks like a nice shadow. And so I'm going to kind of go along the edge. I don't go all the way. I don't replace the lighter one. I'm just going over part of it. So let's see here. I'm kind of, well, I guess I'm pressing down harder. I'm pressing down harder. I was kind of doing little circular motions, but you could probably just do a line. Just going to press down so it's a little darker. You're like, oh yeah, that looks pretty good. It does look pretty good. Now, I have two. I have a dark brown and a lighter brown. Now, this is tricky. Try it. If it doesn't work, it's okay. But can we get something in the middle? Like it's not as dark as the darkest, but a little darker than the lighter one? Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to blend it. I'm going to try to just add a little more shadow here so that it kind of blends together. Like both, like the darker and the lighter kind of blend together. I'm just going to go, I don't go all the way. I kind of go halfway. And I just kind of add a little more to kind of blend it. And that's like a blended shadow. And it looks kind of nice. Now, this might be hard to do for you. If it is, just try your best. Maybe it's just brown here. But if you can try to blend it a little better, it'll look nice. It'll look like a nice shadow. We did something like this last time with our hot chocolate, right? Like we blended the side of the cup. There, that looks pretty good, huh? You're like, wow, that looks pretty, it looks like a shadow. It does look like a shadow. It looks pretty neat. Okay, so before we add all the fun little marks and like little sesame seeds and stuff like that, let's add a shadow to our bottom piece. So this is the top of the burger. So the bottom is gonna look like this. And we want our shadow to be over here. So again, first we're gonna start real lightly. So watch, I'm gonna go real lightly. So I'm gonna go lightly, barely pressing it down. Right? See, it's not very dark yet. Not yet. It will be darker. All right, let's see here. And I'm gonna go all on the bottom. Okay. I'm like barely pressing down. I'm like not pressing down very hard. That's kind of hard to do for a young student. Don't press down very hard. It's like barely pressing down. Okay, and then I'm going to go right up to here. Notice how I didn't add any shadow here. You can imagine the light's coming down and shining on this side, but the light didn't shine on this side. It's turned away from the light. That's why. Okay, so I got my light part here. So now what I want to do is I want to do that darker part, but just right on the edge. So I can press down a little harder now. Press down a little harder, but not all the way. I'm not going to cover up my other lighter brown. I just want to add a little bit darker brown on the edge. I want to see both. I want to see both. So here I go. Sometimes it doesn't work out perfectly, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just remember, we're just practicing. You know, it takes a lot of practice to be able to get good at doing something like this. If you're doing it good to begin with, then that's great. It's a little easier for you, but sometimes it's not that easy. Okay, so now I have like a dark brown and a light brown, and I want to have a brown in the middle, like a medium brown, in between the dark and the light. So I'm just going to try to add, I'm just going to lightly kind of go on top of that dark brown and a little bit into the light brown, and I'm going to try to do a medium in the middle. And just try, I'm not pressing down too hard, just so I can blend it a little so that they kind of blend in to be one shadow. It's like dark, medium, and light shadow. Let's see here. You know what you're going to need? You're going to need a bag. You're going to need like a Ziploc bag to put all your parts in. Or I guess, you know, you received all your stuff in a big bag, so I guess you can put it right back into that bag to kind of keep it safe. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now, before we cut these things out, we want to add some like sesame seeds or some texture on our bun. And the trick is though is to make it small. Like you don't want to put a big mark on your bun. So what we can do is you can do some small. See how tiny that is? That's pretty tiny. The smaller it is, you can just put some dots here. The smaller it is, the more natural it looks. So here we go. I got some just got some bumps here. These could be sesame seeds, or they could be just kind of like some texture in our bread, right? But these are really tiny. They're not very big. They're not marks. They're just almost like dots. And they look pretty good, right? That looks pretty good, huh? Now, if you want, this looks good. I think I would almost just leave it. But if you want, you're like, ooh, can I add a little bit of shading? Yeah, you can if you want, but maybe not on all of them. And maybe just some of them, and just very lightly. So watch, I can just shade around this one a little bit. Maybe shade around that one a little bit. See how it kind of looks like there's a shadow, kind of like it's pushing into the bun, but very lightly. And I wouldn't do all of them. I would just do some of them. Just kind of add a little bit, very lightly though, lightly. Light is hard to do. Trust me. I remember what it was like when I was young. I'd be like make it really dark. But so you can see I kind of added a little bit of light brown in there, and so it kind of makes them, like, some of them are different. Some of them are a little bigger and have more shadow. Yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. So that looks like a nice textured bun, right? Okay, let's add some here. So we'll start on our bottom. This is the bottom bun. So we're going to start with some very small dots. Very small, like not lines, just very small dots with a brown. That looks pretty good. Looks like a nice texture. All right, and then if you want, you can shade very lightly. You can shade around them just a little bit. Like I'm barely doing it. Not all of them, just some of them. Like you kind of skip over some. Like you maybe do one here, here, here. You just kind of pick some of them. And that might make it look, give it a little bit of variety. It makes your dots different too. Like that one, like it's almost like that one's in shadow a little bit, but then these other ones aren't. It looks pretty good, huh? Okay, great. Then you're just gonna cut them out. Oh, I forgot, you need a scissors. I should have put that on the materials. Yeah, you need a scissors at home. You'll need glue too. I'll update my my little checklist on the left there. But anyways, you're just gonna cut this out. So you can cut it out real carefully. It's okay if you can still see some of that black line. It probably looks, your black line won't be as dark as mine. If you cut the black line out, that's probably better. But if you can see, here, I'm going to try to cut mine out. Yeah, I just kind of cut. It looks a little better if you can cut it out. Your black line won't be as dark as mine, so it won't look as bad. Technically, we could have cut it out first. We could have cut it out first, flip it over, and then kind of color, but then it would be hard to do that shading. So, I don't know. If you have a little bit of black line, maybe just cut it out. Maybe a parent can help you. But like I said, your dark line won't be as dark as mine, so it won't look as bad. There. So that looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to put that over here, and then I'm just going to cut this one out. I'm going to try to cut out my black line. I'm going to cut, basically I'm cutting slightly on the other, oh, you can't even see, I have such a small area. I'm cutting on the other side of it, of that black line, so that it kind of goes away. Okay, here we go. All right, so I cut it out. Looks pretty good, huh? So we'll have to put these in a bag. So you can put these back in the bag, okay? Now, what else are we going to do? That took a long time. I believe Mrs. Curry sent home a black paper. This is a different black paper. I had used, this is from another project actually, but it's going to be very similar to this. And we're going to draw the tablecloth. Okay, so let's do that real quick. So here we need white and red crayons. If you don't have red and you want to use a different color, it's going to be checkers. So you could use blue or purple, but white works pretty good on the black. Okay, so what's the first thing we're going to do? First, at about 3 inches, we're going to draw a straight line. Now, you can just try to draw that, but maybe you're like, that's going to be hard, Mr. Smith. It could be. You could use a ruler. Maybe you have a ruler at home, or maybe a parent can help you. Like, so how far is 3 inches? Well, 3 inches is about like, you know, I can measure, right? Wow. So it's like, it's about right here. So that's about 3 inches. And then I could maybe use this to kind of help me draw a straight line. If you don't have a ruler, maybe you could use a notebook, or you can just try to draw it. It's kind of hard to draw it. So maybe you do just want to use like a magazine or a ruler. I mean, a ruler obviously works best if you have it, so I'm just going to draw that. I used a ruler. So that's about 3 inches, not very big. But what we want to do with our tablecloth is we want it to be into perspective. But I don't want to, in class I talked about perspective a little bit, but we don't, it's complicated. So here's what we want to do. We want to find the center of our tablecloth, about the center, and we're going to draw a line straight down. About straight down. Now that's the middle. That's like right where the vanishing point is. You don't have to draw a vanishing point, but it would connect to a vanishing point right here. We're not going to draw that. Now we're going to draw 2 more lines, but they're going to be at an angle. So watch, this one, it's going to be about right here. And I'm going to draw it kind of at an angle, because what happens is our tablecloth is laying flat on a table and it goes into perspective. So we're going to have a line that's kind of at an angle like that. Okay, and if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. It's fine. We're try to make it as close as possible. And it's about that distance. I don't know how much distance. That's about 2 inches. So I'm going to go another 2 inches. Oh, it's about right here. You're like, 2 inches? Well, it's about that much. That's how much it is. So about here. Then I'm going to draw another line. But this line is also going to be bent. It's going to be bent a little more. It's going to be slanted even more than the first one. Like, wow, that's hard to do. That's hard to do. If I'm making this look easy, sorry. It's because I've been doing it for millions of years. Okay, so now let's go to this side. This side, we want to have an angle, but it's going this way now. So I'm going to go, it's about 2 inches. You don't have to really measure that, but it's about that much. And I'm going to have a line, and it's angled, right? It's angled that way. The middle line is straight. And then I'm going to go over another 2 inches, and then this one's going to slant even more. It's going to slant more than this one. Why? Why is that one slant more? Because it's further away from the vanishing point that I didn't draw. Nah, you don't have to worry about that. You're like, okay, that's complicated, Mr. Smith. Yeah, I know. But doesn't that look kind of like perspective? Like it's going into, it's laying flat on a table. Okay, that looks great. Now, it's a checkerboard. It's a checkerboard table, so we need another line in the middle. So you could try to draw it. That's kind of hard to do. So if you just have a ruler, I'm going to use a ruler. I should have had my students. I didn't have my students in class use a ruler, and it was kind of hard. They did okay though. So I'm just going to use I should have made them use a ruler. Oops. Yeah, I guess that's okay. Okay, there it is. So it's like a checkerboard tablecloth. It's a tablecloth, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to color one of these. So I'm going to color this one. What is this? I don't know. It's this one. And I'm going to color it in white. So when you color it in, it's kind of hard to color with these crayons. And you want to go neatly along the edge. So how do I recommend that you color? I recommend that you kind of color along the edge first, and you build up like a border. Like you kind of go straight along that edge. You build up that border, so that way you don't have to worry about going outside the lines. Let's see, I'm going to build that up. That looks pretty good. Then I'm going to color it in. And that way I can get real close to that edge, and I can kind of fill it in. Now, fill it in all the way. Don't leave any... Look, I'm using a different piece of paper, so mine doesn't look very... like you can see lines. Yours will be more solid than mine, because your paper will be smooth. Okay, so now we're going to color that in. Then you're going to skip one, right? You're going to skip one because it's like a checkerboard. So this one's white. This one we're actually going to do red, but I'm going to skip it for now, and I'm going to color the next one, and I'm going to color this one in white too. So first I'm going to make the edges thicker so I don't have to worry about going outside the lines. All right. I'm going to fill it in. This will take some time. And make it as smooth as possible. Mine's not smooth because I have I have texture underneath it. It's kind of making that texture. But you'll try to get in you'll try to leave out all that black. You're going to color that whole thing in. Solid. Okay. And then here, I'm going to skip one here, and then, so this one's going to be skipped, and then I'm going to go here and fill this one in white. Try not to get crayon on your table. All right, so now, and then do that as neatly as possible. So now here's the tricky part, so watch real carefully, okay? Maybe you have a parent helping you, maybe you're just doing it by yourself, but look, checkerboard, so this one's white, so now I can't do this one white because that would be a stripe, right? So this one is black, it's going to be red eventually, but so this one's white, so that one's the one in the middle on the second row. This one gets filled in. It's the opposite of the top row, right? So I'm going to fill that in. I'm going to color that. Again, you want to get it in really neatly. Okay. And then I skip this one, right? And then this one's white, right? Because the one on top of it is black, so then this one's going to be white. So that's kind of like what a checkerboard is. Checkers are hard to do. So if you have a parent there, let them help you get the right ones. Now yours might be, your checkerboard, it's a tablecloth, but it's a checkerboard tablecloth. Yours might be slightly different than mine. So let a parent help you if they're standing around. You can say, hey, can you help me with this checker? Like you can pause the video and show them like, I need to color that in like a checker. Can you help me so that I don't mess it? It's easy to mess it up. And if you do mess it up, don't worry about it. Just color it in. Okay. Fill these in all white really well. Then what we're going to do is, instead of black tablecloth, we're going to color it in red. Now, like I said, if you had a different color like purple, like you could do this purple or blue or green, I don't care. Red looks pretty good because there's not a lot of red in our hamburger. There's a little bit. Anyways, I'm going to fill this in red. Ooh, this doesn't color in very well. You got to really press down. So again, I would go on the edge first. I would really get that edge nice and bold. Yeah, maybe a lighter color, like a light purple would have looked better. It's okay. You can see the red. It's just dark because of the black. Okay. And then I'm going to go down here. Basically all the black checkers, and I'm going to fill those in red. And that's what you're going to do. Color them in solid and neatly, right? It might take a little bit of time, so I would go along the edge first, get that edge taken care of, make that kind of bold, like a big, thick, bold edge, like that, edge it, and then you go in and color the middle. And try to get it really good, really solid, dark, solid color. Okay, I'm almost done here. Woo! Edge. And I'm going to do this one real quick. Did I get it good enough? It's pretty good for now. Now, don't glue your bun yet. Don't glue your bun. But your bun is going to be on the table like that. Like, it's not going to be on the top like that. It's going to be on the table. And that looks kind of like perspective, doesn't it? It looks like three-dimensional. So that's what we're going to do. But that's all we're going to do today. So we did our buns. We did the top and the bottom of our bun. Put these back in your bag so you can keep them safe, because we're going to be working on this for a couple more weeks. We colored our tablecloth as best we could. Try to get this solid. Remember, mine's not solid because I have stuff underneath it. But yours will probably be easier to make solid color. It'll be easier for you. So give that a try. And then next week we'll start on some of the other ingredients of our hamburger, and hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. It looks really neat when it's finished. So it's going to be a giant hamburger. You can't even see it. It's going to be full of all kinds of stuff in the middle, all kinds of yummy stuff, cheese, meat, onions. It'll be a lot of fun. So that's it for today. I hope you had fun and it was interesting. I'll see. Hello, focus on me. I'll see you guys next week, and have a good weekend. Bye. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.